Here, Hayford Siao is the executive director of the Ghana Library Authority. Joins us in flesh and blood in the studio. Hayford, good morning. How are you doing?
Good. Yourself?
I'm greater than Accra.
We thank God.
Good to see you.
Great. I'm good to see you too.
Great. Ghana Library Authority. What do you do?
So Ghana Library Authority is one of actually the oldest public institutions in Ghana. I mean, founded in 1950. After Cocoa Board. So in building and developing Ghana, whilst trying to address the economic situations with cocoa industry, one of the institutions to be set up to address the intellectual and knowledge needs of the citizens of Ghana, was the Ghana Library Authority. And the mandate since then has been simple and, it's still been the same: to establish, equip, maintain, and manage public libraries in Ghana. And so the emphasis here is on public libraries, and so that has always, been the focus of the Library Authority, connecting Ghanaians to knowledge with the mandate of, managing, equipping, establishing public libraries in Ghana.
Nkrumah certainly loved to read, didn't he? And that's why he wanted everybody to also read.
I think so.
How many libraries do we have under your watch today?
Today it's 118.
118 libraries.
Yes, growth from 61 when I took over to now 118 under our management.
And the traditional ones that we knew, the ones those who lived in Tema, those of us who live in Accra, who go to the High Court and Supreme Court area to go and read. Are they functioning?
They are functioning actually, and we've managed to also over the period increase even the stock of books on the shelf for public libraries. In 1981, just to give you a bit of context, in 1981, Ghana had 36 public libraries. On the shelves of these 36 libraries was 1,049,000 books. Fast forward to when I took over, we've managed to increase the network of public libraries from 36 to 61. But guess the number of books on the shelf of public libraries? It had reduced to around 349,000.
Why?
Because over the period, we've not managed to stock at the same rate that books were wear and tear and what do we call it, the reading of books that takes place at the libraries, because over a period you need to weed out because of wear and tear to the materials that are being used. And so if you are not able to replace at the same rate, you see that over a period of time you will be having a decline in stock. And so that was really, the state of how libraries, were. But we needed to, make sure that we have a new pathway to ensure that there's both growth in the number of public libraries as well as the resources on the shelves, because it is the only way that you could actually go about and tell people to read. Because the question will be, you want us to go and read, where are the libraries, where are the books on the shelves of public libraries? And so over the period, that has really been the focus of the board and management to address this systemic issues.
Do Ghanaians like to read? From where you said,
so historically, and as somebody working in the library, I always want to make a reference to the past. Between 1950 to 1970, if you look at our records, the dominance or the patronage of public libraries in Ghana was really dominated by a few elite groups and families of colonial rulers in the country. And so around 1970 there was a research by Ghana Library Authority, British Council and the Ministry of Education to try to understand why the culture of Ghanaian or the culture of reading is very low in Ghana. So just to get everybody to appreciate the culture of us not having the lifestyle of reading did not start with those of us born in the 80s and 90s. It has always been, the case of this country.
Right.
And out of that research, one of the key things that came out was the fact that as a country, we've not been deliberate about building that habit, because reading is a habit. How do you inculcate such a lifestyle or such a habit of lifelong learning? You can actually do it really from the early stages of our lives, when we are kids, when we are going to primary school, when we are in junior high schools and secondary schools. We had a very poor school library system. And it's because if you do not have a good school library system, how is a teacher able to make a recommendation of some books for a kid to read? what are the incentives that you put in place in a school environment for kids to be able to be motivated to read? And so that has been the systemic challenge, that you don't have a proper school library system. You don't have professionals to even manage the few libraries that exist. The few that exist is ill-equipped. And so the intervention and recommendation then was that let's just face this head on. There was a new department that was established at the Ghana Library Authority called the Schools and College Library Department, and the emphasis here is on the college, on colleges, because teachers are training colleges then. Now training colleges are universities now, but teachers were then training these colleges of education. The colleges of education has got such a poor library system, and so how does such a person who is trained in such a very poor library system, of such a poor architecture within the school system, how does the person then transition into a classroom and be able to motivate kids to read? And so the challenge has always been that, okay, address that at a macro level, and then hopefully when the teachers build that culture, they're able to appreciate the role of libraries in their own training. When they come to the classrooms, they can be able to encourage and motivate and have incentive for young people to be able to build a habit of reading.
You encourage reading.
Yes.
How many books have you read this month?
This month? Well, currently I'm pursuing an MA program, so I read more of corporate law and commercial law books.
I see. Interesting. Ghana at 60 promised to build 60 libraries.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember.
How many of those libraries were built?
Okay, so the Ghana 60 promise was by a private company that had gone to the secretariat of those organizing the activities around the anniversary.
West Blue Consulting Limited.
Yes. So they had promised to deliver on that. Unfortunately,
then you amplified it. The not the Ghana Library Authority, the committee amplified.
I wasn't part of the committee.
No, I didn't. But because you were the chief librarian. That's what I'm asking you.
Yes. So, of course, the interest was that the company could have done it and it could have been to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Unfortunately, that has not, happened.
Not a single one.
Not that I am aware of.
Wow. And we are 66 now.
Yes, but I mean, just to also say that at the Ghana Library Authority, at least since 2018 when I took over.
I'm not talking about what you have done.
Yes.
I'm saying that somebody promised that we're going to build 60 libraries. So that we celebrate Ghana 60. In fact, some of the libraries were even supposed to be mobile.
Yes.
We were told, aside the ones that were going to be built.
Yes.
And then you're telling me now that not that you know of, none has been built.
Yes, because this is a private company. It's just like, my brother, you promising to build 10 libraries for us. If your finances are not in stable condition, I'm not sure.
But why would because this was my point really is that this was trumpeted by the at 60 committee.
Yes.
And we were told that what was the slogan for Ghana at 60? No, Ghana 60 years and beyond, something and it was trumpeted by it. I didn't hear West Blue being mentioned. It was presented to us as if this was a Ghana 60 years on plan. So I'm a bit taken aback.
Yes, I understand your position, and it's unfortunate that we have to go through that as a nation.
Let's talk about regional libraries.
Okay.
You have district libraries, you have community libraries, and all of that. I mean, sometime 2-3 years ago, we went to launch one at Ukankwe South.
Yes.
A library that I chased
with your good presence.
I chased for 10 years.
You've done well.
Eventually, Dakwa Newman came. He had gone through the hands of Nana Kumia, Ahmed Athar. Dakwa Newman came, and the children are reading. Periodically, I go around there.
Oh, good.
The children are reading.
Good.
They like to read, and the children had to demonstrate. But I mean, that's beyond.
We should have a personality reading session with you, with the kids.
I don't have a problem at all. But let's talk about regional libraries.
Okay.
Do we have a regional library in every region in Ghana?
We have a presence in all the 16 regions, but we have the 10 traditional regions. All of them have got regional libraries. For Ho and Sunyani, there are actually new construction ongoing.
So those are additions. because they were the Sunyani one. My producer is telling me that the Sunyani one is not relatively new.
No, it's been the construction has been ongoing since 2003.
So why can't we complete it? This is 20 years on.
Yes. So it's this. Okay. So one, the disclaimer is that Ghana Library Authority is not the initiator of that particular project. The contract was awarded by the Regional Coordinating Council. So if you look at how GETFund operate, usually regional coordinating councils can come up with a project within the education space, and then they get their funding from them. So the whole process was done by the Regional Coordinating Council of the Bron Ahafo region then, and it's being supervised by AESL. Over the period, contractors have been disappointed. They've been very disappointing, and just recently, about 2 months ago, AESL gave a final warning letter to the contractor, because since his last payment for about 2-3 years now, he's not even step foot on site.
He has been paid and he's not stepping on the site.
So the way contractual processes works is that you work, and then you raise the certificate. So once you are paid, we expect you to get back to site to do another phase of work, so that before you are
raise
paid.
Another certificate.
Yes. But for some reason, I think these were not really solid contractors that should have gotten the job.
I don't understand.
I mean, if you're a contractor and you have the money to be able to execute the job, then you should not be waiting for certificate.
You should be able to pre-finance.
Yes, you should be able to pre-finance. And so over the period, you raise certificate and you go back to sleep, and it takes time for you to be paid. And so if you have such a contractor, handling such a project, then you will have problem.
How many staff do you have?
We have 586 as of today.
Are they adequate to run the libraries that you have?
We and to be honest with you, no public library in the world has got enough staff to take care of it work. But if you look at where we are coming from and where we are now, I think we've done relatively well in terms of adding up to the existing numbers that used to be in the system. If you look at the target of establishing 540 public libraries by 2030, then of course you recognize that over a period we need to continue to recruit probably every year. Hopefully the IMF arrangement do not set us back on that pathway.
Technology, artificial intelligence, ICT. How are you plugging in so that it's not just? I mean, I'm old school. I like to hold the book and feel the sheets and the smell of the ink and all of that. I like to feel it. But there are those who also like to read the ebooks and all of that. How are you working towards that?
Okay, so at the Ghana Library Authority, since 2018, one of our core thematic areas we've been focusing on is on technology. And technology used in public library system comes in different dimensions. So as a library, we operate static spaces, and within these static spaces, people come there to be able to undertake research. And so what we have done in collaboration with some private companies and other government agencies, including the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, is to be able to have this ICT or tech hubs within the library spaces. And so in some of our libraries across the country, we've managed to put in computers there, connect them to internet, so that people can be able to come there and use those machines, computers for their own research. Not only have we limited ourselves in the static library environment, even our mobile library vans, which goes into communities that do not have access to our static library environment. Right. We have even put laptops in them. And so when we move, whilst people are having access to hard copy books, others also are able to use our computers, either for experiential learning by the ICT teacher in a school, or to be able to undertake some sort of research on their own. So we have these pathways that exist. In a static library environment, schools cluster of schools around where we are located use these ICT spaces even for their ICT lessons, because you recognize that some of our schools, they don't have computer labs to be able to have integrate ICT in learning. So we provide that service there. We also, of course, a team. We also have within our occupational groups, we have IT support staff that we recruit, and so they also undertake trainings, in Microsoft Suite or in app development or something within some of our library spaces. So that's one pathway. The other one that we also do is to leverage on data to be able to make sure that people have access to distance learning courses. And so, for example, the Commonwealth of Learning is currently supporting us to be able to onboard Ghanaians that want to undertake remote learning courses on Coursera. When you take a course on Coursera, you probably have to pay.
That's right.
For something before you get certified.
That's right.
We're sponsoring people to be able to take up those courses, and we've been doing that since 2019.
How do you select the people?
So we open application. Currently, if somebody goes on our website, library.gov.gh, for example, you can be able to apply online, and we are selecting 1,000 people for this 5th cohort. So this is the 5th time we are doing this. So that's also one of the ways that we also promoting the use of technology for learning. The third path is the digital library app that we have. So currently, if you go on your Play Store, your App Store, wherever you downloaded your TikTok, WhatsApp, or Instagram, you can be able to search for the Ghana Library app, download it, and register and get an instant library card number with a temporary password. You then log into our system and you can have access to books. You can have access to both audiobooks, also expert tutorials that has been delivered by Ghana Education Service have also been put on there. And this is also zero rated, which means that even if you don't have data, you can be able to read, online. So within the space of technology, this is really what we have, done in that space over the period.
As kids, we just used to walk into the library and go and read. Do you charge people to read these days?
Yes, you can walk in to be able to have access to our content, but if you want to be a member and borrow books, then you need to pay, depending on the location of the books and location of the library and the kind of plethora of services that they provide.
Explain how much. For example, if I want to go and borrow a book from Accra Library,
Accra Central charges 20 or 30 20 cedis or 30 cedis per term.
Okay, I see. Interesting. You mentioned that you were pursuing an MA program, so you like to read your books and your approved text and all of that. As boss of the Library Authority, how do you feel that 4 years after swapping the curriculum for children, we still do not have textbooks in the schools for the children to read?
Well, I think what we have on our part, and I speak for Ghana Library Authority, is that for us, we make sure that we actually procure textbooks on the shelves of public libraries.
I say, how do you feel
that
4 years after we swapped the curriculum, we don't have textbooks in the schools? You are encouraging the children to read, but the textbooks for them to read is not available. How do you feel?
For me, what I would probably have felt if I was the boss of an education agency managing schools.
What do you feel as the Library Authority boss?
As the Library Authority boss, my work is to be able to make sure that when the kids come to my library, they have access to the books.
I'm not saying how do you feel knowing that 4 years after we changed the curriculum, we don't have textbooks for the children to read in schools? How do you feel?
I think every Ghanaian, every Ghanaian, I believe, is uncomfortable about the fact that
how do you feel?
Just like every Ghanaian, I'm a bit uncomfortable that we do not have textbooks available at the disposal of the Ghanaian people, and so hopefully whatever that needs to be done, or whatever processes that are being put in place to make sure that these kids have access to the books, must of course be put in place for them to have.
I see. You are encouraging reading. Can we have reading on the go? Reading on the go. For example, on Saturday, the children are at Children's Park. They are invited. They have a reading jamboree of a sort. You bring your vans and then you open up. You encourage the children to read. Do you do that?
So Yes, so across the country, when it comes to the use of vans to be able to encourage reading, that is done. I mean, they move into community. They have Saturday programs. They have, reading session with personalities. You recall, I just said a few minutes ago that we want to probably host you for. So these are really activities that we undertake. We bring different people into the library space. We organize a lot of activities for kids. The mobile library vans, for example, are playing an enormous role when it comes to, getting a lot of children that otherwise will not probably have access to books, including them for them to also benefit from it. So we undertake all of those. But for me personally, my goal and that of my team has been to address the systemic issues. The systemic issues are that we need to be able to strengthen and build a proper school library system.
Okay.
Under no circumstance should we build a school in this country and do not attach a library to it.
Well, that's a big worry.
Under no circumstance should our schools not have a professional librarian managing their school libraries. And for me, if you are able to address these systemic issues, make sure that your colleges of education where teachers are being trained are equipped with proper library system. The schools that we are putting up have proper setup, integrated with a proper library integrated management system in place. We are able to do inter-school borrowing of resources. If we are able to do that, I don't need to be sending my vans to parks to get children around books, because the culture would have been built and they will be hungry to appear at the nearest
children
library.
At Bubuashi were hungry. We encourage them to read. We actually donate books to them and all of that. So you see, they were eager.
They were eager, but you need to build this.
This is a proper Saito school,
yes,
but they're eager to read.
Yes, naturally, all of us, we are eager to read, but have we created the atmosphere? Have we created the environment where if I need a book to read, I can walk within a few kilometers and be able to have access to a library? If you go to Finland, you have a population of around 6 million. They have over 700 public libraries. This is like the whole of Greater Accra. But how many libraries do we have in Greater Accra?
Would you be stocking Yvonne Nelson's controversial book?
Well, I've seen excerpts of it around.
Would you stock the book in your libraries?
Well, it has to go through an approval process, which has not been done. And so once the committee, the acquisition team looks at it and they make their recommendation, why not?
The language is good. We just read excerpts of it on radio. So
hopefully the acquisition, so at the Library Authority, we have, a team responsible for acquisitions. And so they will be looking at it to see, okay, which of our target group will actually benefit from reading.
But on a personal note, will you be stocking it?
Of course, it's an interesting read. I mean, from what I've learned so far.
The vice president has just announced, or if you like, the government has just announced a computer, one child, one computer initiative to phase out textbooks. What do you say?
Well, so technology, I don't think the word is to phase out textbooks. I doubt that is the word. And I think the idea is to complement it. Complement what exists with technology. Like we've already discussed about, the use of technology or ICT in learning. Globally, if you look at research that has been done by UNESCO, you will understand that, technology use in learning is being promoted. I mean, actually, for over 10 years ago, there's been a policy at Ghana Education Service, which is being reviewed every now and then, on device use policy, where there is a school of thought that we should allow kids to bring their own devices. There is also another school of thought that we should allow government to rather supply the devices for use. And I know that there are even schools in this country that have allowed the use of mobile devices even in schools to try to test how integrating,
GES doesn't agree with that.
Oh, GES is one of GES schools that has piloted, the use of devices, to be able to disseminate learning resources. And so they have a fair idea of what they are trying to implement. And whilst we understand that, like for example, you mentioned textbooks, new curriculum, textbooks are supposed to be available to kids, they are not available. Assuming you have devices for your kids, well, just a press of a button, cultural studies or social studies books will be available to them.
We don't do cultural studies and
social studies or religious and moral education or physics or chemistry books will immediately be available to. Will be immediately available.
But not in communities where they don't have electricity to begin with.
I don't think deploying technology to complement learning is done in phases. I mean, you have to have technology readiness of a particular school done before it is implemented, and I think they're just not doing any blanket deployment. I think the deployment is being done because, I mean, if it's not even all schools that have got the internet system in place, and so I think it's a phase by phase approach, and schools that will have to have textbooks to be able to complement learning, they will have. Whilst those that we believe have been upgraded to the level that they can be able to use technology as a complement to their learning, will be used. Because, the big picture is that we should be able to have really quick assessment of children's learning, and we strongly believe that technology can play a very big role. I'm speaking on this because when COVID happened, Ghana Library Authority was the only institution within the ministry that was prepared to be able to deploy learning content for all Ghanaians in this country. We currently host and manage the learning management system that was developed for pre-tertiary education in Ghana.
Okay.
And so if we have been able to give a few kids in even a particular school, like an assessment, I mean, my kids' school, for example, when assignment is given, it's given to them through Google Classroom. They immediately submit their assignment to their teachers on Google. Within a click of a button, their teacher is reading everything that they've submitted. And that's the level that I think government want to take.
There are two libraries of interest to me. One at Adenta Fafraha, named around a place called Owusu Ansa, named after the president's father.
Yes.
It's caused a lot of public discussions. Does it belong to you?
It's a dead news. Yes, it belongs to Ghana.
Why was it named after the president?
So, the president's father is one of our longest serving, actually the longest serving board member of the Library Authority, right from the inception and conceptualization of public library system in Ghana. He was there from 1950 to 1959. From 1957 to 1959, he was our board chair. So when it comes to the planning and development of the architecture of public library system in Ghana, he was in it. He was really the pioneer of it. And the board of Ghana Library Authority, when we finished the construction of that library, they took the decision to name that library after him for his contribution to public libraries.
So it's not a private library, it belongs to you?
It belongs to Ghana Library Authority.
There's another one at Kaukudi near Gold House by Mr. Ibrahim Mawe's residence. Is that also yours?
Yes, that is also
but that library looks too bougie. People, the children can't go there, or do they go?
No. It was closed for a very long time, but thankfully, His Excellency the Vice President,
when they see flashy things, they don't go.
I think now they are being motivated to come around, and they are coming to patronize it. So through the kind presence of His Excellency the Vice President, he was there to commission the library, and it's now open to the public to make use of it.
I'll come to another subject matter, but again, I'll backtrack a bit. You mentioned that if we fix the systemic issues, we will not have to take your vans all over the place, gather children, and
unless we go to where there are no static libraries.
Yeah. How are you working with the GES to ensure that the schools have libraries and also they have librarians? I'm asking this because I've gone to some of the millennium schools that were built, and you find that they have 3 or 4 extra classes that nobody uses. They're just there. There's one at Bubash where you came to, about 4 classrooms just there. I mean, so how you work with the GS to ensure that this dream becomes a reality? So
we are sister organizations under the Ministry of Education. So on the level of senior high schools education, senior high schools, in 2018-2019. We started work with them to be able to fix senior high schools in the country, and we started by training all senior high school librarians in the country. We started renovating and equipping most of some of the senior high school libraries across the country. at the basic primary junior high school level, there's not been the work we've been doing with them has been through development partners like with UNICEF, where we are able to train, teachers from some. I think we've done 6 regions so far training for them. I think at the macro level, at a bigger level, there needs to be some level of engagement with respect to policy and even by law, because our work that we've been collaborating with them on is not actually grounded in the law that established Ghana Library Authority. It's just grounded in the fact that you have a policymaker who was interested, for you to be able to provide a certain technical support to Ghana Education Service. Because as I mentioned to you earlier, the law establishing Ghana Library Authority restricts us to public libraries. School libraries is supposed to be under the Ghana Education Service. However, we are there to be able to provide that technical support when we are called, upon to do that.
I grew up in Carnation. The last time I spoke to you about a property of the Library Authority by the police station that has been, taken over by squatters and all of that. Have you gone for your property?
So there's a history behind the Carnation property. The library, we stopped using the libraries about 30 years ago because the building started to sink. And so they decided not to use it for the safety of the kids. And so over the period, the Greater Accra Regional Directorate of the Ghana Library has been trying to work with the Regional Coordinating Council and Accra Metropolitan Assembly to be able to come up with some public-private partnership arrangement can break up the place and build a new edifice to serve that enclave. And so that has really been the discussion ongoing for
forever.
Yes.
Taking forever.
Yes.
I broke this story in 2017.
Yes, I know. I followed. I followed it.
Still here.
I followed it. But
discussion.
The good thing about that enclave is that now you have the library that we commissioned at the top, and then
Bishop,
we have Latabi Okoshi also having a library there.
That's
so at least those are, for now 7, some users within that enclave.
Okay, now there are those who saw the flyer we put up there and said you should go to Parliament. Do you want to go to Parliament?
if my constituents will ask me to go, why not?
I'll go to Parliament.
If my constituents says I should go, I will.
Which constituency would
in Nsawam Adredji.
In Nsawam Adredji. That's Anodom Press constituency.
Yes.
That's a tower.
Yes.
Would you wait for him to leave before you go? If the people call on you to contest him, would you contest him?
It's the people. Once the people say that Hayford come, we will give you the mandate. I mean, as a servant in the public space, why not?
Let's look at Hayford. If you, for example, become member of Parliament, what would you be championing?
Capacity for individual people to be able to have access to job opportunities, because I strongly believe that if people are empowered with job, with education, they can be whoever they want to be, and that for me will be really, touching individuals' lives. That would be my focus.
And what will be your scorecard? What flag are you going to hold to come and say, this is what I have been able to do? For example, at Ghana Library Authority, which will give me the impetus to say, the people are calling on me. So based on what I've been able to do here, I'm coming forward. What is your scorecard? Because I like to ask.
Well, I mean, you have been a friend of the library, and you know this. You are very much aware of the status of Ghana Library Authority. When I took over, it was an organization that nobody was really interested in. When I took over, the bank balance of the Ghana Library Authority was just 700 Ghana cedis. Today, if I'm leaving Ghana Library Authority, I will not be leaving less than 2 million Ghana cedis in the bank. I took over an institution that had only 61 libraries across the country. Currently, as we speak, we have 118 public libraries in Ghana within a period of 6 years. There is no part in the continent of Africa that a nation has been able to increase its public library network within such a short period of time. You took over an institution that, the library stock, the library book stock was around 349,000. Today, you are talking about 1.4 million books on the shelf of public libraries in Ghana. if you look at the training opportunities, the skilling opportunity we've provided through Massive Open online course platform for Ghanaian people, like now over 50,000 Ghanaians have benefited from, you know, my partnership with the Commonwealth of Learning. It is no surprising that Ghana Library Authority in 2021 was declared as one of the most innovative public institutions, you know, in the world by the United Nations. The London International Book Fair Excellence Award also recognized Ghana Library Authority as the Library of the Year, beating Croatia and Kenya, you know, within the library space. We've done tremendous work within the library space and within the book ecosystem that UNESCO had to award Accra as the World Book Capital. It was all because this time around, when Ghana was bidding, it had a story to tell and be accepted and be verified that indeed Ghana was investing, you know, in a public library space. And so the work that
William is smiling. I'm sure he has a question for you.
The work that we've done, you know, has been amazing.
William, you were smiling.
Just before he started the interview, I was asking what we're doing in terms of writing, because before we can encourage anybody to read, somebody must have written.
Yeah.
And so, if you mention the fact that the GHS, Ghana Education Service, was using their platform to do some tutorials, are we getting some professional writers to also take the visitors or the students or the children through writing? Because now it's becoming an issue. Ghanaians are writing a lot on the internet, and if you see the level of writing, the quality of the writing, agreement, there's a lot of problem. And so if we're going to encourage people to read, do we have any plans to also use our platform to encourage them to write?
Yes, so we've been hosting a lot of workshops. I mean, I think you all know Nana Asase.
Yeah.
Very soon we're going to also launch even a program with him where some writing lessons or workshops will be taking place at the various library spaces. We do that really leveraging on, you know, private partnerships. We have people that comes in and we host this workshop. We publicize it using social media platforms also to engage people.
Okay. We are grateful that you could join us.
Thank you very much.